He is a serial entrepreneur, investor, advisor, and founder of TDeFi.
How do I make this slower?
Should work.
No?
Okay, you take that one.
Testing.
Me too.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's Fireside Chat with none other than Gaurav Dubey. Gaurav, you and I have met a couple of years ago,
Yes.
and I've seen you work tirelessly at growing some of the businesses and some of the companies that you're involved in. Do you mind giving the audience just a quick overview of some of the things that you're currently involved in today?
I've been involved in multiple things over the past few years, across technology, not just blockchain and crypto, but for the last 1 year, since the beginning of and since the inception of TDeFi, I've fully committed to it. So there's not really much I'm doing these days. No private advisory, no private investments, all commitments to just crypto, just TDeFi portfolio. Um, so yeah, the answer is simple. I'm only doing TDeFi these days, and I commit for the next 1 year to do nothing else but this. And at TDeFi, we're trying to build a baseline of trust on to both the parties or both the participants of this ecosystem or the startup ecosystem. The first is startups themselves. So we want to set up golden standards of advisory. We all know they have been broken. A lot of advisory has fallen into the pockets of influencers who are not influencing much these days, and it has fallen to the VCs, which is not smart money, right? We do know that there's a lot of smart money in this space as well. So that's one. We want to bring the best startups out to the investors as well. When I say best startups, um, we wouldn't take a startup out of the incubator up until its MVP stage, or has at least something working. We don't incubate white papers. So this is the justice we do to the investors so that they can trust TDeFi as a brand bringing out the best projects. When I say best projects, I don't mean a big pump. I only mean a valuable idea that has determined set of entrepreneurs working on it. Rest up to fate.
Absolutely, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing some of your founders, and you're known for picking some of the smartest, hardest working founders in the Indian region and around the world. And I wanted to just touch maybe a little bit on your roots. The panel here is Myth of Money, and I know that India is one of those countries that has struggled with banking its population, making sure its population has access to financial services across the board, and cryptocurrency has become really attractive to that market as a result. What would you say the state is of cryptocurrency today in India, and what is your interest in that region?
That's
A loaded question.
yeah.
A loaded question.
It's a loaded question, but it's also slightly off topic first. Second, but I'll take it because it's important to talk about it. Coming from where we started in crypto, which is 2015, mining already, trading already across multiple exchanges, making profits of cross exchange arbitrage since 2016, when you can only settle your trades against Poloniex. And then, the Indian ecosystem evolved, and we were a part of most of the exchanges early on. We just had Ajit here, who was the CEO of the first and the largest exchange. So we knew, and we still are a part of the backdrop of the Indian crypto ecosystem. So I'll tell you what happens, and probably this is coming out in the media for the first time. And I know this is being streamed, so I have to be very cautious with words. A lot of speculation, the news trade about India as a crypto market is funded by companies that make their profit on the price variation of USDT. One of those companies just walked in to the pavilion. Uh, so, so if you look at the USDT INR pair on the top exchanges of the country, WazirX, BitBNS, CoinDCX, you'll be surprised to see the variation. It goes 10% below the standard USD price, the USD to INR pair, and it goes up to 10% on the other side as well. It's a beautiful range for an institutional investor to play on. Because I don't want to dive too deep into finance, but this is the safest bet, right? USD to INR will never change. But if USDT is changing on both sides, you definitely have a safe entry because your exit is always pegged to the USD price. You know it's going to come back. So the information, coming back to the information trade and media trade, it's usually funded by the players who have a huge capital invested in just this variation. You can call them market makers, but they're not because they're manipulating the market with news. Now they create FUD. As soon as the market has that news, you know, Bitcoin fails tomorrow, they start selling their crypto. The price falls because India is a capital-controlled country. There's no infusion of capital. There's no free infusion of capital in the country, and there's no free
Outflow
of the capital as well. So that creates the necessary variation, and these guys get to play. Now, we as evangelists were delighted to see our finance minister, which is the highest authority, coming out last year in the media, though it was a short statement, but it says it all. She said, we're not going to ban it at all, and we have an experimental approach. So obviously a country like India can't go beyond this. They won't, you know, announce like El Salvador that we're taking Bitcoin in. We're a huge economy and rather a huge uneducated investor economy. So the government can never take aggressive steps towards investors and regulating or getting into crypto. So coming back to the point, yes, the manipulation is thrown by these traders mostly, and they make a fortune out of it. So that also talks about the situation of the country. The country has a experimental approach. Just so you know, as a validation of the fact, the income tax department of the country has been charging people a capital gain tax for the last 4 years. I don't know a country that has been charging tax on something that they plan to break down on. So this is my belief in the system. This is my belief in the government. And also the people of the country have already fought a few agencies. Actually, the central bank of the country, up until last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, they fought the central bank of the country and won the court case at the apex court, and finally made the pseudo ban lift. So this is the exact status. The government has an experimental approach. The central bank had a control over the regulated bodies, which is the banks, which is now lifted. Banks are giving bank accounts to exchanges. I mean, we have a phenomenal volume, phenomenal daily volume in India. I remember from 2017, we were 34% of the whole market, crypto trading markets.
By we, you mean?
India.
Okay.
Yeah.
34% of the whole market.
Yes, at least the reported volumes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. You know, tax departments around the world regularly charge capital gains on criminal activity.
Yes. Yeah.
But regardless of that, so what are some of the things that you're excited about that you guys are building at TDeFi today? I know you've had several news announcements that have come out in the last 2
I
weeks.
missed the last bit of your last question, I guess. What are we doing in TDeFi in India, right?
What are some of the amazing projects that you're building at TDeFi today?
Okay, okay. I mean, it wouldn't be justified if I name some projects over others, right? I don't think we incubate anything less than amazing. So I can keep talking about each and every project for hours, not days. Um, but we are particularly excited about the upcomings than those we have already launched, because as an accelerator, we are only supposed to be focused on the recent projects. But like I keep on saying, I repeat this more often. We started as an accelerator and then we sort of got hooked to the word. We are more of an advisory firm for a lifetime, and we tend to work with the projects for longer than just the acceleration stage. So I'll still come on to the question. I'll talk about the recently incubated companies. Um, we have Bridge Network from Barbados. She's sitting right in front of me. She'll. So they've built a bridge across multiple chain. The product is already out. I'm very proud of all the companies, all the entrepreneurs who to fundraising after a fully functional product. So Bridge Network already is functioning across 10 EVM chains, including Ethereum and others. And they've already closed their seed round in 2 days when they announced from the stage. We have Equate. They're bringing the data markets together. They just presented yesterday, I guess, and are already very popular in the space. They have the maximum traffic at their booth here. We have multiple NFT platforms acted out, bringing Bollywood auditions to blockchain. So if you had a chance to buy the first audition of Tom Cruise, I don't know if he's your top actor, if your best actor, your favorite actor.
I have a soft spot for Tom Cruise, definitely. Who doesn't?
I have it too. So that's what Acted Out is doing. They're bringing the auditions out to their fans. So they're targeting a community of 20 million through the 100,000 celebrity they already have on board. So it's a 4-year-old startup. Again, I'm only talking about the projects that have a fully functional product. They're not shilling a token.
Let me ask you this. So, is this working? Test. Let me ask you this. I'm sure you have an incredible inbound of projects coming your way because it's the bull market, right? And you have founders calling you from all over the world. How do you choose? Are you focused on a certain region? Do you want them to be at a certain stage of development? How do you pick?
Obviously, I've been through multiple successes and more than that, multiple failures in life. So there's a whole backdrop of judging the entrepreneur. But my life was majorly influenced, and I would say changed for good in 2019 with a statement that I read on a WhatsApp message, and it was a statement from Jack Ma. It said, you don't need the best people, you need the right people. And then it took like a year or two for me to sort of understand what is right people. And I understood right people are those who are aligned. And the alignment is better proved by their submission, their determination towards their own project, and hence everything that has to add value to that project. So my core judgment, and this is a very common statement that my team makes to the project, we are only keen to work with the projects that are more than keen to work with us. You might be the best project in the world, but if you're not keen to work with us, you don't know what we are adding to you. There are so many incubators in the world.
It's very true. A question that I get a lot is, when will this cycle end? So it seems like we've been going strong for a while. Last night was an incredible bull run just of its own. I think we had a $4,000 candle on Bitcoin last night. And, a lot of folks said, sell the news on the ETF, but it seems that was not the good idea. No. Don't sell the news on the ETF, we're still going up. And there's things in the market that have given me pause and made me more cautious, particularly the NFT mania. Right now, somebody sent me a project where they were collateralizing and loaning against NFTs.
I have 5 of those.
Yeah, which is, adding a whole other layer of complexity and risk into the market.
Speculation more so.
Speculation, and as we saw in the '08 financial crisis, speculation is really what collapses markets at the end. So what are your thoughts on this cycle, and what might be the thing that brings it down?
So I was absolutely sure that the cycle is coming towards its end very soon. I think one of the biggest and the easiest index to monitor is the greed index, right? The fear to greed index. But then this ETF happened. And I'm sure you know, and a lot of people know how ETF functions. So everything else is set up. The investors are aligned. The GPs are aligned. And they wait for the regulations for a few years, right? Like we did. And as soon as that happens, the capital is supposed to be deployed, right? Doesn't that make this price the bottom, or at least a base? I know a lot of people will sell when the sentiment is bad, but it just adds a whole new level or a layer of hodlers, ETF being one of the largest buyers at this stage. So yesterday and then last week when I was going through this news of ETFs, and I got a moment to think about how would that influence the market. Yes, we might not stick to 60,000 when we are going back, but we'll definitely stick to a level which is far beyond and far higher than it would have reached if ETF wasn't launched. Let me clarify. Would you want me to?
Well, my thought process was there's no way that we could ban cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin now, right?
No.
Once the SEC approves an ETF, they can never backtrack.
Absolutely.
Right? So this is kind of that big green light that we've been waiting for. And even if it's not as strong of a wave of capital as we expected, we're through the gates. Like, I really feel like this cycle, we have been working so hard to get through the gates beyond Bitcoin being a speculative asset. And with institutions starting to allocate capital and companies starting to allocate capital, that was the final gate. We're through. And I don't think people celebrated that moment of Bitcoin now being a regulated institutional asset in the biggest, strongest market in the world.
So again, going back, yes, no one can bring it down, but then people do speculate, right? Despite of all of that thought process, all of that maturity, even me and you, we speculate on a daily basis, I guess. At least before sleeping when we open up our portfolio. So it's just that I want to add a little comfort to that speculation. That's it. I can't tell you when the wave ends, but I definitely tell you that you are at a sweet spot. 60,000 was a high number, was an all-time high. Sorry, 64,000. But now it's just ready for an all-new high with this fresh capital. And I want to comment on. I'll take water. I want to comment on your statement about the kind of capital we expected and the kind of capital that came after ETF. Let's look back on a few cases that came one after another. DMCC started regulating or giving licenses to just exchanges and trading firms, not more, right? They got the first 13 applications in the first 2 years, something like that, approved. They got 2 licenses in the first 3 years, finally working. And then they licensed 30 or 40 more companies in the last 1 year. Just yesterday, they announced 2,000 companies coming to Dubai through DMCC only.
Wow.
Right? This is how the industry works. This is an explosion phenomena, explosive phenomena. So yes, there were some front runners who got it approved. Now there are a lot of people who don't take the pain of being the fighters, but then they definitely have their arsenals up and ready to shoot, right? So I am expecting a whole new fleet, a whole new swarm of financial instruments only and only on the top 2 assets, Bitcoin and Ethereum, or as many of them get approved. Because definitely, just out of these boundaries, there's a whole new world that won't know about Bitcoin. And even if they know, they don't own a fraction of it. ETF is what will get them in. This is the financial world.
I was writing an article today and I was doing some research and I came across a number that only 3% of the world population actually hold cryptocurrency.
Talk to me about it, right?
And it's so nuts because I feel like every single person in my life holds cryptocurrency. I got my parents to buy last summer, so I'm always welcome home for dinner.
We have a boy walking on here. I've actually introduced him to a lot of people. This guy has been on a trip for the last 45 days and he has only spent money in Bitcoins. Has only spent in Bitcoins. So how it works is that he approaches someone, let's say a restaurant, and he educates them on Bitcoin and then eventually motivates them and inspires them to take his payment in Bitcoin.
That's incredible. Make sure you introduce him to me before I leave.
Boy. So, like I said, the movement is on, but it's very small. And again, talk to your parents. You talked about your parents. Talk to them and ask them if they would rather invest in an ETF because they've been educated to trust on these systems, on these instruments, right? No matter what's backing them. I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm out of my country, so I can talk about it. So mutual funds. How many times have we faced losses? I'm just trying to be compliant with my words. With funds, with mutual funds.
So I agree with you. I think in the Western world, and this is maybe different for where I live, taxation is just such an important element in your investment strategy that I think ETFs have that going for them. You can put them in your retirement funds and tax-free accounts. And unfortunately, I mean, I would rather hold all of my Bitcoin directly, but there's tax implications for that.
Absolutely. This is what I'm talking about. So I am expecting a huge explosion of ETFs from here and an insane amount of capital that will make the present price of 64,000, if it's still retaining. I don't look at the markets anymore. Look tiny. It'll become a base level if the market continues. I also have to answer, I remember from a part of your question, when does it come to an end? Yes, crypto is a very small market in compared to the rest of the market. And we all understand that we are standing on a brink of another black hole explosion, right? We have just came out. We were living a bear market for the last 2 years, not in crypto, I'm talking about generic markets. And then arrived pandemic, and then arrived all the, money printing, which was already a big hammer on the central banks and the economies. And then the Chinese crisis. And you know what? We are only trying to print money and we're only trying to hold it. So it's like, I don't know, it's a very tricky situation because I don't think crypto or anyone has the strength to hold themselves up when all of this crashes. So if that happens, I don't know what's going to save us because we've printed a lot of money. So we're literally living the myth of money right now.
So this is something I write about and think about a lot. Obviously, the inflationary risk is very real. And I know officially we've said it's 3 to 5%, but we know that not to be true. The numbers show 20 to 70% among commodities, real estate prices, oil, lumber. It's crazy.
Spices.
It's crazy. I'm buying a house that appreciated 60% in the last 2 years.
Buy one in Dubai, it appreciates 60% in a night.
In a night? Yeah. How come?
I wanted to buy a place in JBR the address, beach resort. I left Dubai on the 16th of December. It was 14 million dirhams. I came back on the 5th of January and someone sent me the same brochure, the same pamphlet, everything the same square meters for 21 million. And the property was eventually sold 15 days after that for 24 million.
Oh, wow. So advice would you give to someone who's trying to protect their capital in an environment like this, right? Because obviously saying hold cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in an event of collapse where we have the stock market fall and the cryptocurrency market fall, it's good to be diversified. So what would be on your list of assets aside from Bitcoin?
First of all, I don't talk to people, I don't want to talk to people who want to save capital and still invest, because they definitely don't know what they're doing in life. If you want to save capital, don't invest it, save it. I mean, I come from India, so India, China, most of the Asian countries, we have been born to save. We have been, taught to save since our birth. We don't lose capital. We are happy with 5% a year, right? So yes, if you want to save capital, don't invest. If you want to grow your capital, be ready for the risk exposure, and then learn to hold, learn to speculate less. So yes, if you're investing in crypto, you have to have let's say, you have to have courage for sure to hold, and keep a perspective of 5 years at least, which is so much better than equity, by the way.
For sure.
Right? So if you're investing, once we are done and we are logged to the fact that we are investing and we are not saving capital, we are growing it, then we start talking. And then you have to sort of evaluate which market. Which one would you trust rather? Real estate? I don't even have to talk about examples. You're living the Chinese crisis right now. Just watch 2 or 3 videos on the top of YouTube. Search for Chinese real estate crisis, the China real estate crisis, and you'll know everything about real estate bubble. What else? Equity? Really? Facebook lost 300 billion in a few minutes, and nobody talked about it. And we lost 300 billion. We lost 300. That's the guy who's running on crypto. So. So we lost 300 billion in crypto over a few months, and everyone was talking about it, right? So yeah, you have to choose where would you want to invest rather. So I think the cycle in crypto is better. You can hold for 5 years and still be at a bigger profit levels, and would still be able to live a whole cycle rather than investing in equity, and I mean private equity, and run through the cycle of 7 to 10 to 12 years, depending on where you're investing. So crypto is definitely a good investment, but for long-term holders. Shall we call the boy? Please come up on the stage, man. Would you like to join us?
Do we have an extra mic?
Yeah, I'll share mine. Please talk about your story, man. Introduce yourself.
Hi.
Pleasure to meet you.
How are you?
Tatiana.
Hi, namaste. What's up? Hi. Oh, shit.
What is your name?
Paco.
Paco, where are you from?
I'm from India.
From India. What brings you to Dubai?
Someone got me the ticket to Dubai.
Yeah, with Bitcoin?
Yeah. I just got connected to the community, and the community said, come over to meet the community.
I heard that you've been traveling the world teaching people about Bitcoin.
Yeah. I started the journey on 17th September from India, and it's 34 days. I haven't spent a single fiat.
Have you slept on the street yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't slept on the street yet. The people are really kind. Everybody just talks about making money, but there's something called heart, and people are really helpful. I'm not kidding. They are really, really helpful.
What made you want to go on this journey of Bitcoin?
The book, The Bitcoin Standard by Saifuddin Amos. If you know how they're making money, you would also jump on the boat.
It's a great book. I read it. It's a great book, for sure.
Yeah.
What are some of the most memorable conversations you've had when teaching people about Bitcoin?
Oh, a lot. One of the most, for me, connected was this person in a city called Rajkot. The person can't hear, he can't speak, but he went to a university to learn how to speak English so he can type. And he says English is freedom and Bitcoin is freedom. So he came over and we connected, and we had breakfast together. and he was there all day and he was just talking about Bitcoin while chatting on Telegram. He's like, this is freedom, because we are just working. Everybody is just working twice a day. Once you're working so you make money, then you're working so that your money makes money, and that's too much work. Like one of the things in India everybody would relate to, or pretty much around the world, are our forefathers used to have so many babies, 7, 8, 10 kids, and now we just have 1 and 2. The reason being it's expensive.
You're talking to someone from the US. They don't even have one these days.
I'm working on it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a lot of traffic waiting outside and is missing out on things. They really want to watch it. Guys, you're free to come in. Please walk in. Others can walk in, can fill in this space. It actually looks nice when so many people are interested in what we're talking about. Please fill in the space, guys. There's a lot of space inside. Those there can also come in.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah,
sorry.
thank you. Yeah.
Welcome. So for those that are just joining us right now, Paco is on a journey to teach people about Bitcoin by not paying for anything in fiat on his journey. Am I describing it correct?
Yes, you're right.
So what is the most interesting thing you've bought? Bitcoin?
I got my haircut on Bitcoin. I've got shots on Bitcoin. I've got a chai on Bitcoin. I've got pizza on Bitcoin.
Wasn't the fee to transfer the Bitcoin more than the
No,
chai money?
no. If you are using a non-custodial wallet, the fee is as less as 10 cents.
Which
Okay.
wallet are we talking about?
Yeah, which wallet are you using?
Yes,
I'm using a blue wallet.
Are you using the Lightning Network?
Yes, Lightning is 1 cent.
Okay, so what is...
On chain
we
is
learn
10
every day,
cents.
Tatiana. We learn every day. There's so much to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've got everything pretty much. Okay, there was a guy who was bullish on silver. So I bought silver and I gave him Bitcoin. I'm like, let's see. And it was 43,000 and today 64,000. So I'm like, yeah, woo, Bitcoin.
Talking about investments, right?
So yeah, it's going good. People are really curious. I got my screen guard on your phone for Bitcoin. My guide in Hawa Mahal in Jaipur. It's a palace that has 365 windows. I got that guide to accept Bitcoin. So that's good. It's a lot of effort, but yet again, the people are really kind. They're curious. You have to always give person a chance. The circumstances aren't in favor. Everybody is hand to mouth. Coming from India, it's hand to mouth. Everybody is not as blessed. We all are blessed. We all have all things covered. We are educated, and we can know what's happening with our system. So yeah,
That's really beautiful.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
As much as we want? Oh, we're done? We're done. Guys, I think we're running out of time. Thank you so much. Paco, I'd love to talk to you a little bit afterwards. Gaurav, it's a pleasure as always. I'm so grateful that we, have this amazing working relationship and we can continue to create things in the future together.
I have a question for you.
Oh, shoot.
It was supposed to be a fireside chat, right? I can also shoot questions.
Oh, I didn't know this went both ways.
There are a lot of startups here, and we are a startup ecosystem altogether. People like yourself who have spent a lifetime, and more so, you're actually spending most of your day actually into cryptos, not just writing, not just trading, not just investing, but actually observing so many things, because you being a writer, a columnist on Forbes and your own newsletter, you have to skim through so much information. Do you have a message for the startups, for the crypto startups? We are a token-only company, a token-only accelerator. What do you want to teach them? Give them a message.
I had an interesting conversation last night, and a friend of mine who was an investor, he said, I wish that every day I could only invest in technology, but instead I'm forced to invest in narrative. And I think sometimes founders underestimate the power of storytelling in our industry. And I think what Paco is doing very well is he's an incredible storyteller. And every day he stops someone on the street and he tells them a story and he makes them believe. And I think when you're creating something that hasn't been created before, right? This generation of entrepreneurs has it a little bit harder, right? Because the last generation of entrepreneurs said, I'm going to take a dating website and make it into an app. I'm going to take a taxi thing and make it into an Uber. The leap was much smaller. The convenience was there and the innovation was there, but the to believe in what you were creating was much smaller than the leap here. So founders really, if you don't have that ability, find someone and work on your narrative of why you're doing what you're doing and for something, because that will make people believe in you, that will make your investors believe in you and your partners believe in you, and eventually your market and also your users.
We're
We
taking
have a question.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your presentation. I have a question regarding CBDCs. I think it's a matter of fact that CBDCs are going to come. In the European Union, it's already in the papers in China and India. What kind of development do you see for the cryptos regarding the coming up CBDCs from the governments? This is the first question. And the second thing, I think it's quite dangerous to say invest in crypto for the next 10 years. Because as you know, during the bear markets, a lot of altcoins just disappear. So it's crucial to know how to and where to invest. And my personal feeling is that we will have something like in the internet or .com market in the 90s, there will be let me say, consolidation. So crypto will develop, but there will be much less cryptocurrencies and protocols which will develop in the future. How do you see that?
Is this a question for me?
For everyone in the stage.
Can I please ask you, what do you do for living in life?
I'm responsible at my company to build data centers. So we are a first provider for Facebook and Microsoft and so on. So I'm in the IT business, but from the hardware side. And personal, I'm an investor.
Could you suggest me the policies for agriculture that China should have for the next 10 years?
No.
Right. So we know nothing about the governments. They have their own plans with CBDCs. They're thinking about it. Yes, I know people like to talk about this topic, but we've all seen that nothing really unfolds in the regulatory side the way we want it to, right? Because ETFs should have been regulated 3 years ago, 4 years ago, because people were buying cryptos more than they would have bought. The crypto adoption was actually faster than the ETF adoption. So governments behave the way they want to. If you want me to talk about it, I think, yes, they definitely want to do it. But then what's the point of having a crypto with unlimited supply? They won't just let their control go. It's an important part of the economy. You know, it's dealing with hyper retail. So an entrepreneur, let's say 2 technical people talking, will talk about a product from a very, very technology perspective. But the same product, when goes to retail, is not adopted because the retail is not aware of the technology, the underlying features and the benefits. They just need to, they understand something simple and that works for them, right? This is crowd, this is retail. Government, fortunately, unfortunately, have to deal with crowd. They don't talk this language. Here we are brainstorming with some intellectuals who know their industry head to toe. They know what works best. But then you expect the government to deal with the masses, not with just us, right? So they won't let their control go. Hence, a CBDC, any CBDC would be with an unlimited supply. Guess what? The number written on your bank account when you log in is exactly the same because it will only mean the same to you. And they'll still print it more. So that's first, yeah.
If I can add, I don't think CBDCs are that important. I think it's not an innovation, it's just a technical upgrade. Let's put it that way. We're still dealing with fiat, it's still going to be in centralized accounts, and it's really just facilitating a bridge into the digital world. And if countries want to participate in the next era of innovation, they have no choice but to make a CBDC, right? Otherwise, you'll have companies like Tether taking over your financial markets, and you don't want that, right? So America has no choice. The European Union has no choice. China has been ahead of the curve, by a couple of years. And China came from a place of censorship, really, because censorship is a big part of their government there. And for them, the CBDC is a tool to actually track and monitor transactions. So whereas most cryptocurrency innovators come from a place of freedom and decentralization and anonymity, China is much more about actually being able to see who is doing what in real time. And if I were to fast forward maybe 20 years, not that far from now, 20, 30 years, I see a world where most of us want to keep our wealth in Bitcoin, but we convert pieces of our Bitcoin or we borrow our Bitcoin to get CBTCs that we use for everyday spending. And the CBDC we choose will just depend on where we are in the world at the time.
Like she said, it's just a technical upgrade. And for those who really want to live by the spirit of decentralization, which I doubt for a lot of countries in the world, will have a good use case. I just don't see anyone in the list as yet of the countries who would want to jump into this relationship.
And sorry, just to add one more thing, I think we're see a little bit of a push and pull between CBDCs and Bitcoin. And what we're seeing in South America, and we're going to see it in other parts of the world as well, there's a fight against the dollar. So what you're seeing in El Salvador, it's a country that has been dependent on the dollar for so long that even though it's risky for them to turn their entire system into Bitcoin this quickly, because the risk is there. I'm a supporter of it, but it's risky, it's quick, it's untested, they're first. They would rather take that risk than to continue being at the beckoning of the monetary policy of the US.
It's a big risk. I can barely imagine converting my company into Bitcoin. Leave apart the idea of a country. You know, we give Diwali gifts in India, in Diwali. So 3 years ago, I floated a survey form in the whole office on who wants. So usually we give gold coins. So I asked who wants gold coins and who would want Bitcoins. And the answer was like 95% people wanted gold in an office of cryptocurrencies, right? So being an office is better than a democracy. I said, okay, the result is out. We are giving Bitcoins. So
maybe you need to be a better storyteller. Maybe you should get Paco to come in and talk to your staff.
No, I am a better investor actually. So I knew the state of the markets. Within the next 15 days, it actually doubled. So a lot of people sold, which was a great story in the office, and the others held over to it. You know what? Actually a funny story, and this is the beauty of submission. Everyone exited through the bear run. Others exited through the bull run before that. There was a peon, the office boy, who didn't knew what to do with it. He left the job, didn't have a job for a year, literally had to sleep on streets that we were talking about. And this, just like 3 months ago, he appeared of nowhere, called my admin and said, sir, I was given these Bitcoins and somebody educated me on it. Can you help me sell them? So the 7,000 rupees Bitcoin, which is how much, $100? $100 worth of Bitcoins. He sold it for a few lakhs, for a couple of lakhs, I guess, if I'm not wrong.
Sorry, how much is that?
Let's settle for $1,000 plus. Obviously, Bitcoin is, at that time, Bitcoin was 1,200.
So that was a nice 10x investment.
See, of the peon. Yeah. So the point is, again, concluding the whole conversation, if you have to save your capital, save it. If you're investing, have the courage to hold it, right?
That's great
we
advice.
had someone there. We'll have to wrap it quickly, so make it short, please.
Hi, it's about blockchain-based gaming. Can I ask you a question about that?
Gaurav, you want to take a question about blockchain-based gaming?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Do you see mass-adopted blockchain-based games to be relevant to Bitcoin's price
You
fluctuating?
have that in writing?
I just wrote it down so I don't forget.
Okay, so you were scribbling. Okay,
Yeah,
please,
yeah.
please go on. Wow, you're a serious question guy. Please, that's a serious question.
Do you see mass adopted blockchain-based games to be relevant to Bitcoin's price fluctuating in the future?
I didn't really understand the question. What was the question?
Okay, so let's go back to the story. We were all talking about storytelling. Do you know the part of the story of Bitcoin on how it got adopted initially? It was given away on games. So
yeah.
games is definitely one of the biggest point of adoption of cryptocurrency, if not technology as a whole.
Yes.
So we are expecting, and we are doing a lot of that. We are incubating a huge number of games. We are very heavy on games. And not just us, we have a lot of demand from our investors, from our ecosystem partners. I mean, I had 3 veterans of crypto walking in since morning who came to me and said, dude, I mean, leave the accelerator. How many games do you have in here? I want to invest in all. So there's this big interest, and it's for a reason that games have been pivotal for the cryptocurrency adoption as yet. And that was not just Bitcoin. It is happening every single day with new and new coins. Guess what? Where does cryptocurrency adoption and where does cryptocurrency education leads to? The ultimate god, Bitcoin. So yes, it will add to the maturity of Bitcoin as an asset, but I'm sure it will definitely add to the speculation of the Bitcoin, because these guys, they don't have a reference to Bitcoin from Bitcoin itself. They have a reference to Bitcoin from a further more speculative currency that brought them to cryptocurrency. And whenever it will fluctuate, it will make a lot of people go wrecked, as we call it in this industry. And at that moment in time, I'm sure they'll have a hard feeling towards Bitcoin as well. So yes, the speculation, like you precisely answer your question, yes, it will definitely move Bitcoin up and down. But guess what? In a larger span of things, 3 years, 4 years, they'll definitely see that their coin might have not done well, but Bitcoin certainly did. So we're still talking about adoption. Did they snatch the mic from you?
Do you like Bitcoin?
Do I like?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like. I don't have any.
Okay.
Everyone says that.
If you would have a choice to invest in Bitcoin or
Dude, I already had the choice since 2015. I literally sold all my Bitcoins to startups. Because for me, see, this is a different perspective. I retired at the age of 26. I'm not working for money anymore. So yes, if it was about money, I would have certainly kept it in Bitcoin for sure. For now, it's about making the dreams of entrepreneurs a reality. And that needs investments, that needs persuasion, that needs a lot of work. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys. I think that's all the time we have for today. I think Gaurav will be around, and Paco, if you have any questions for them. Paco, great job on what you're doing. Gaurav, please continue being the leader that you are. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Tatiana, for your time. I know you're extremely busy. You just arrived at the time of the panel. Thanks, you.
guys.
And keep doing the great job, man.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paco, for joining us. Thank you, Gaurav, sir. And thank you, Ms. Tatiana. Shreya, can you please come and felicitate her?